Welcome everyone to your Focus Locus Presents for March 17th. We are presenting tonight Paper String Revolt. Paper String Revolt is puppetry, music, live performance, clowning. It's highly musical, it's visual, it's thought-provoking, it's poignant, it's beautiful. And we'll be watching a replay of the inaugural Festival of Performances from January 16th, and followed by an interview, a live interview and talk back with co-directors of the program, Minuchin and Beth Fairservice. To hear more about them, about the other artists involved in the project, what's to come, and a million other things. So without much further ado, here is Paper String Revolt. See you soon.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Paper String Revolt, a new theater group of puppeteers and performance artists.
Thank you all so much for coming to our virtual performance. We had to postpone our live performance, but we're particularly grateful to those of you who had tickets to the live performance, and here you are now at our virtual performance. My name is Beth Fairservice. I'm the director of Minuchin Theater, and I integrate puppetry and activism in my work, as well as working with education and doing street theater. I've been doing that for over 15 years in Northampton.
And I'm Jeannie Minuchin, the director of World and I Arts Center. World and I is new to Northampton and the Pioneer Valley, but we've been in existence for 10 years, combining the arts with social and community programs. Beth and I realized that our mutual love of puppetry and the arts as a means to address social issues was the basis of a new adventure.
So we invited some amazing artists, including Peter Labruciano, Stephen Katz, Sue Hazar, Jeannie Minuchin, and myself, and we've been working for the past 8 months every week developing these individual pieces, which because of this longer process, we've been able to deepen and integrate multimedia levels of expression, bringing deep symbolism to our work.
Each of us has a passion for utilizing the arts to address complex and sometimes difficult issues, and the Paper String Revolt seeks to awaken the storyteller in all of us as a tool for social change.
So, thank you so much for being here, and thank you in particular Northampton Open Media, who is videotaping this show for us tonight.
And the Northampton Center for the Arts. We also want to thank all of you for being here at the debut of Paper String Revolt.
Thank you, and we shall begin.
Peter Kagan was a lonely man in the summer of his years. But then one day he got tired of being lonely, and he went away off to the eastward. And when he came again, he had a wife with him. She was strange, but she was kind and people liked her. And she was good for Kagan. She kept him company. And winter come to summer, they were happy. Kagan had a dory then. He had a lug sail on her. He'd go offshore for 3-4 days setting for the fish. Oh, but his wife was sad then. She never liked to see him go. She'd go down and call to him. Kagan, 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 bring the dory home. The wind and sea do follow thee, and all the ledges calling thee. He said that he could hear her singing 20 miles to sea. And when he heard her, he'd come home, if he had fish or none. She was a seal, you know. Everyone knew that, even Kagan, he knew that. But nobody would say it to him. Then one day in that year's autumn, Kagan says, I got to go now, go offshore and get some fish. But she says, no, don't go away. She starts crying, please don't go. The wind is coming in the snow. Kagan, 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 don't go out to sea. The stormy wind and snow do come, and oh, but I do fear for thee. Kagan's not afraid of snow. It's early in the year. He puts the oars in. And he goes to sea. Kagan rows out on the middle ground. The fish are coming to him. The wind is west all day and going down. Kagan reads the writing on the water and the skies. He sees the haze up very high above the clouds. He says, that's all right for autumn. Only a change of wind. I'm not afraid of wind. Kagan reads it wrong this time. The wind goes away and comes back southeast. The fog comes round him. Kagan says, I better go now. Find that gong buoy off the sunken ledges. Then I'll know the best way home. Kagan puts the sail up and bears away to the north for the gong. Oh, the wind is watching. The wind backs round to the east and breezes on. They sail a long time and the sail is pulling very hard. Finally, the winds are so strong, the sail tears out. Kagan takes it in. And the dory goes drifting. Then he hears the gong buoy. It isn't very far away. Kagan, 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 bring the dory home. The wind and sea do follow thee, and all the legends But the dory goes a-drifting. By and by, the buoy goes away. Kagan says, okay then. Puts the oars in. He starts to row back up to the gong. Oh, the wind is watching. The wind backs north, northeast, and makes the seas confused. Kagan can't hold his horse. The wind says, listen, I got something to tell you, Kagan rowing. I don't want to hear it. The wind humps up and makes the seas short, makes it hard for him to row. Finally, the seas are so steep, Kagan knows he isn't getting anywhere. Kagan brings the oars in, and the dory goes adrifting. Kagan says, okay, now I got something to show you. He takes a slip of wood to make a needle. He waxes up the hand line for a thread. He sews the sail up smaller and sews a reef in it. The wind says, what you doing? Kagan says, you keep watching. Kagan puts the sail up and bears away to the north for the gong. But oh, the wind is watching. The wind backs north by east. Kagan can't hold his course anymore. Now he brings the boat about. Now he's steering east. The wind says, you're heading out to sea. Kagan says, I'm not afraid of water. I'll come about by and by when I can fetch that gong. The wind says, I'll veer on you. I'll go east again. Kagan says, you go ahead, and I can hold my course again. The wind says, I'll back. Kagan says, you back too far, and you'll have to clear. You know that. I can keep ahead of you. The wind says, you may be smarter, but I'm stronger. You watch. The wind gets bigger, blows harder. Finally, there's too much wind. The sail says, I can't do it, Peter. Kagan says, I know that. Thank you. Brings the sail in, and the dory goes adrifting. Kagan takes the sail off the yard and pulls it round him. Now you keep me warm. The wind says, he can't keep you warm. The wind snatches north by east. I'll freeze you. Kagan says, I'm not afraid of cold. But he is afraid. Kagan doesn't know what to do. But oh, the wind is working now. The wind brings ice and snow. The wind blows long and black. Kagan says, I'm dying, sail. Keep me warm. The sail says, I can't do it, Peter. Kagan dying, and the wind blows. Kagan, Kagan, Kagan. Turn thy back unto the wind, nor the weary windy sea. Kagan, 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 lay thee down to sleep, for I do come to comfort thee, all and thy dear body keep. So Kagan lays down in the bottom of the boat and tries not to be afraid of the dying. And he dreamed of her then, of his wife. He dreamed that she was coming to him. He heard a great calling on the wind, and he lifted his head, and he saw her coming to him. It was down the smoking sea she came, and over the rail of the dory she came, and laughing to his arms. And it was all in the night and the storm they did lay, till the wind and the sea went away. And in the morning they found him asleep, with a sail wrapped round him, and there was a seal laying with him, curled over him like a blanket, and the snow was upon the seal.
While away the hours, conferring with the flowers, consoling with the rain. And my head I'd be scratching while my thoughts were busy hatching. If I only had I'd be thinking I could be another Lincoln if if I only had a brain, I could tell you why. The ocean's near the shore, I could think of things I've never thought before, and then I'd sit and think some more. I'd sit and think somewhere birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then oh why can't I sit and think some more? Sit and think some more. Gosh, it would be awful pleasing to reason out the reason for things I can't explain. Maybe then I deserve ya and be even worthy of ya if I only had a brain, if I only had a brain. If I sing a word for every note that J.S. Bach wrote in his cello prelude in G major almost 300 years ago, that would be a lot of syllables to sing, especially for me. Not because I'm not a singer, but because I am a cellist. As a cellist I should know, because I play the repertoire that lives within the universe of Thank you, Jesus, I'm a cellist. Not that everyone's so jealous. Take, for instance, bluebirds who can fly over the rainbow. Don't you wonder how they do so? Maybe bluebirds transcend rainbows when they take themselves so lightly that they levitate. Like angels in the engine room, speak of the devil there. I swear I see an angel there. She's wearing overalls, her wings tucked in discreetly. This is something else completely from the thrust of our discussion. Have I suffered a concussion? Or perhaps this is your brain on cello music sung by a percussionist. It's true, when I was young, my hands made everything a drum. They still seek out the resonance of everything that sound comes from. And that's exactly how it feels to draw a bow across a string. It's totally amazing how the hands can set a thing to ringing. To think of it, I don't believe that angels use their hands at all. That's kind of creepy. Why am I feeling so sleepy? Maybe we should change the subject now before I get too weepy. Oh God, what the hell are you doing here? Oh no, I can't do that right now. I'm in the middle of a show. Besides, I'm up here with the cello, and I really should be playing something classical or not. I'm overwrought. I'm in too deep. I took the leap, and I know what you want from me. It's all that complicated, cogitative, precognitive problem you've been nagging me to share with these good people when they don't deserve to suffer my relationship with you. Please forgive me for my singing. It's my only way of guaranteeing that I'll bridge the great divide between the parts of me who seek control. Or maybe I should say command of my performances. You'd think that as the cellist, I'm the one who calls the shots up here. Of course, I play my part, I play the notes, I move my fingers and the bow. I went to college and conservatory, studied with some master teachers, steeped myself in chamber music, toiled in the symphonies, and came out with a fistful of degrees of comprehension of the challenge now before me, which is, how shall I explain to you exactly why the oceans meet the shore? Pay no attention to that angel behind the engine room door. I know it's Bach you came to hear, so Bach I'll play and nothing more. Except perhaps some rearrangements of my own, but then who's keeping score? 300-odd years to celebrate. Though it is said the sweets were not considered art music till recently. Hark! Who made that sound? No candy wrappers in the hall, if you please. Put that away, or the security police will escort you from the building out into the street. These measures sound extreme, but under contract we're obliged to follow gobs of protocols. You have no freaking idea. Now where were we? Oh yes, the Allemande in progress. Troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops, to where Bach plops us into yet another babbling baruch that flops us on our backs, beholding scenic overlook that top out as if we could hear the forest for the trees, high-fiving bluebirds in the breeze. Let's give it all away while there's still time to save the day, because I love you and I don't want this to end. There's nothing in the contract that says cellists may not challenge blind adherence to a trend. Chamber music hand in glove, and as we came along you raised us upward to this very point of view that transcends rain. Those within this gilded cage. Could it be that the challenge now before us is to bow and bend when angels rage? This fine sphere we're all dancing on the skin of has as much skin in the game as mortals do. Since each step we take has global consequences, here's what I propose we do. Roll up our dungarees. Let's get our feet wet, mind the gaps, while letting friends untie the wings behind our backs. This ball game I've discovered, puzzle piece recovered, 300 odd years from now.
Hello and welcome. My name is Sue Hazar. I've been a sculptor who's been telling stories with her work for many years. Working with PSR was going to be the first time I would ever perform with my sculptures now that they had become puppets. However, recently, my life made an extreme left turn. My partner and love, Kent Alexander, got diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer. And my heart went to him full time, which made it hard to do this story the way I had dreamed. However, we decided the show must go on. So I rewrote the piece as an installation, which I will be performing for you today. One day, I hope to bring this show to life. This piece is dedicated to you, dearest Kent, my friend, my teacher, my love. Never broken, the beauty of a terrible thing. This is a story about me. When I was a baby girl, I got adopted into a family who loved me very much. But my daddy was slowly turning into an angry monster through his alcoholism. To survive, I found myself outside in nature, connecting to bugs, birds, and small animals. As I connected to nature, I felt safe and protected. I would sometimes find hurt birds and bring them home to care for. I was their loving protector and was always very sad when they would die. I would make a beautiful box to put them in and bury them in the yard. My dad could be a very angry, unpredictable man. So I felt like I needed a place to go when I felt scared. That's when I started making forts in the bushes behind my house, where I could play and devote time to my imagination. One day, my sister Pam and I were playing with some puppets I had made out of old bones I'd found in the yard. We were pretending to be our parents, each one of us acting out a conversation we had heard them have many times. It went like this. "Good morning, Bruce. Would you like a cup of coffee, dear?" "Yes, and make sure you put a royal dollop of the good stuff in there, Marg." "Yes, of course, dear. And by the way, tell those goddamn kids to fill up the ice trays, and they'd better not touch my Canada Dry ginger ale, or I'll hit them so hard it'll make their heads spin." "Yes, dear." "You know how I feel, Marg. Kids should not be seen or heard." "Yes, dear." Playing that game always made Pam and I angry. So often we'd switch to another scene that made us feel strong and happy. It went like this. "I know, Pammy. Let's make a special potion. We'll put everything in the bowl. Dish soap and all the stuff under the sink, and maybe even some cat food. And some rotten liverwurst, and that brown stuff that Dad drinks every night that makes him grumpy. And maybe even the stuff under the sink with the skull on it." "Yes, and then when Dad's not looking, we'll put some of the magic potion in his drink glass." "Yeah, and then maybe he'll die. That would be good." Both girls would break out into loud bouts of laughter, unable to catch their breath. But suddenly, there was a loud set of footsteps. Shh! The lights went out in the fort, and there's dead silence. And then a thunderous yell. "Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! What's all the goddamn noise? You kids better shut the hell up, or I'll hit ya. I'll kill ya." Pammy runs into the house, but Susie just lies in the fort, crying. Off in the distance, there's a crow calling. "Caw! Caw! Caw!" As the crow gets closer, the calls get louder until Susie feels the heat of Crow's body behind her. Crow's big, strong wings enveloping her as his shimmering head tucks into the nape of her neck. And then whispers, "I'm going to take you away from here, dear one. You will never be alone or afraid again. Now I am the one who is your protector." I will always be beside you under the moon, keeping you safe. I recognize you. She put her head into his soft, warm chest, and they flew off into the night together.
River, river. Oh, I see the first flowers of spring. I want to pick some for my mama. But she says I can't go outside because it's raining. River, river, such a fine and pleasant stream. I love how the river goes by my house and down into town where my papa's working at the button mill. He left before the sun came up and he's coming home after dark, but that's okay because I'm going to go see him at lunch when Mama and I bring him his lunch basket. I love going to town with Mama. We walk down the river road, and then we go to the duck pond, and we watch the ducks going around and around and around. And then we're going to go over to the mill house where Papa's working, and we watch the water wheel turning and turning. Whoosh. Makes a lot of noise. Maybe that's why Papa can't hear me anymore. Mr. Spellman, the button mill owner, he's rich. He has a fine house, and he takes a beautiful carriage to church on Sundays. Maybe Papa's going to be rich like him someday because he's the one actually making the buttons. After we visit with Papa, we're going to go to Cousin Mary's and see baby Jude. Mama and I are making her a quilt, but we're not done yet because it takes lots of stitches. Maybe when we're down there, we can see the pony at Belcher's livery. He's dapple gray with a white mane and tail. I'm going to have a pony like this someday, and I'm going to hitch him up to a carriage, and I'm going to go out of Williamsburg. Come on. Let's go. We're going to go out of Williamsburg and down through Skinnerville. We're going to see the silk mill. We're going to stop the silk mill. We're going to say, "Hi, Mr. Skinner." And then we're going to get on down to Haydenville, down around the corner of the river. Come on, pony. Good, 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 good. Down into Haydenville. Whoa, the brass works. Lots of bricks there. And then we're going to see Mr. Hayden's mansion. I'm going to say, "Hi, Mr. Hayden." And then we're going to ride on down to Graves Grocery. We're going to get a lollipop. Want some? And then we're going to take off down the road to Leeds. Come on, pony, let's go. As fast as we can down along the river road. And then we're going to get to the end of it. Whoa. We're going to stop at the waterfall. And we're going to listen to it roar. Mama's going to get some meat today at the meat wagon. And she's going to cook up a big stew for Sunday supper. I love Sundays because Pop is home. But I don't like the part where I have to stay still at church. I can see the steeple from here. It goes all the way up and it pierces the sky. And if I were really little, I could climb all the way up to the tippy top. And then I'd reach up and I'd touch a cloud. I don't think God would like that. I hear a horse. He's coming down from the hill on the river road. He's going really fast. Oh, man on him looks kind of wild. Maybe it's the man from the dam. Mama? Mama? Mama, it is the man from the dam. Do you see him? George Cheney. He's standing on the edge of the dam, and he sees the land sliding off of it, and the water coming through. Do you see him now, Mama? He's on his horse, and he's riding away from the dam as fast as he can go. And he's going on down the river road. He's going past Hemingway's farm and Everett's farm. And he's coming down the river road past our house, Mama. He's going right straight to Mr. Spellman's. Whoa. Mr. Spellman! Mr. Spellman! What's all this, George? Dam's given away. It can't be. Which part? The east part. You don't mean the east part, you mean the west part. No, sir, I mean the east part. We gotta tell folks. Now, George, a month ago, you told me that the dam was gonna break. And did it break? No, sir, it didn't break, but you told me to close the gate. And there's 100 acres of water behind that dam. I tell you, it's gonna break. Now, George, you better be telling the truth. Mr. Spellman, you don't believe him? Mr. Spellman, we all know the dam is weak. Mr. Spellman, there's not enough time. There's not enough time. The dam's gonna break. Mama, here comes Colin Graves on his horse with all the milk. He's the milkman. He sees George Cheney and he believes him. Go, Colin Graves, go! Go past my papa and tell him Mary and Jude. Go, Mr. Graves. Run for your lives! Run for the hills! You gotta yell louder, Mr. Graves. They can't hear you in the houses. Oh, he's stopping at the mills. He's stopping the cotton mill and the silk mill and the brass works, and all the men are running for the hills. And he sees Myron Day, and Myron Day's taking his horse and carriage down to Leeds as fast as he can go. Go, but the waters are rising. The milk ponds are filling. The dam is breaking. Mama, ring the bells. Ring the bells. Mama, do you hear that sound? What's that sound? Mama! It's too late! I held on as long as I could. My body made it all the way to the Holyoke Dam. Aren't you proud, Mama? They're lifting me out. I'm coming to you, Mama. Will you take my hand? Mama, why didn't they ring the bells?
May 16, 1874, George Cheney coming right up that door. Well, he's screaming to chill the blood. God save us, here comes a man-made flood. River, river, such a fine and pleasant stream. Damn you, damn me, you gone and drowned all of our dreams. Reverend Clayton saw Adam's mill float right by his windowsill. Spellman watched, but he could not stop the tide take down his button shop. River, river, such a fine and pleasant stream. Damn you, damn me, we've gone and drowned all of your dreams. 100 acres of reservoir, come so fast, come so far. A wave so high I'm on my knees, can't see the water for the trees. River, river, such a fine and pleasant stream. Damn you, damn me, you've gone and drowned all of your dreams. Skinnerville, God's skin so fast, that brand new silk mill could not last. See the brass works melt away like sugar frosting on a summer day. River, river, such a fine and pleasant stream. Damn you, damn me, we've gone and drowned all of our dreams. The boarding house, the blacksmith's too, faster than the burgy train. Jump the tracks headed for you, time to run out of the rain. River, river, such a fine and pleasant stream. Damn you, damn me, gone and drowned all of our dreams. The town of Leeds saw such speeds. Emery's wheel just rolled away. In just 1 hour, such raw power, 60 souls got laid astray, laid to rest on Broughton's breast, plowed right into Florence fields. Farmer Ross, take the loss, hope that we increase your yields. River, river, such a fine and pleasant stream. Damn you, damn me, you've gone and drowned all of our dreams.
The American stink bug is an invasive species. Some people find us offensive because of our smell. But if you find us odious, you might be interested to know that we're attracted to the light, to the light, to the light, to the light. It's our favorite place to defecate. What shall we shine the light on today? I know. about Homo sapiens and their relationship to truth. Ooh, that seems to be a stinky area for Americans. But where would you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
The courts.
The courts?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. The courts. That's a good idea. And it just so happens I know a justice of the peace, but she's very particular. And if you don't do exactly what she says, she might hold you in contempt, and we wouldn't want that. So let's practice. If her lordship asked you to raise your right hand, then you would. Good. What a good group. Good. And if the lordship asks you to say, I don't know, blah, 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 then you would say, what a good group. What a good group. They're getting it. Let's take the truth to court. Let's take the truth to court. Let's take the truth to court. To see what we shall see. Hear ye, we blah blah truth, the whole blah blah truth, and nothing but the blah blah truth. Stand up. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I blah blah truth.
I blah blah truth.
The whole blah blah truth.
The whole blah blah truth.
And nothing but the blah blah truth.
And nothing but the blah blah truth.
You may be seated. Her lordship would like you to tell the truth. But how can you when there's so much bzzz around it and there's so many kinds? There are anyone have a secret truth? Ooh, you look like you have a secret truth. And what about you? Yeah, secret truths. Ooh. Straight to the heart truths. Who's in love? Anyone in love? Oh, that's lovely to be in love. Ingrained truths. Smells like tulips. wish everybody just understood. Truths that once were, truths that will be, and the just be here now. Truths. But don't worry. I, your all-American stinky bug, will hold your hands as we go flying through the world of truth, illusion, confusion that has brought this country to the brink of revolution. Ah, revolution, a shift, a turn, a change. Warning of contempt. The justice would like to warn me that she can take away my freedoms. But don't worry, stinky bugs are faster and better at hiding than the justice. But it does seem to be a area for Americans, this question of personal freedoms. Ooh, yes, ooh, 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 ooh. Can you do this with me? Go ahead. Oh, lovely. What a beautiful audience. Lovely, yes. All of us swaying together. Beautiful. Now let's try something else. One more. What would it be? It could be a heartbeat. Do it with me. A heartbeat. Everyone's heart beating as one truth. Ah. Good for you. But what if your truth is your neighbor's lie? I know. Let's up the ante a little bit. Shall we do that? Let's up the ante. Here it's little ante. Up the little ante. Oh, there it goes. Its little leggies. Ooh. Eek! Eek! I know. If you believe that your neighbor thinks that the right to life is the one truth, then you do this. But if you think that their truth is a woman's right to choose, then everybody, for yourselves and your neighbors, right to light, woman's right to choose, and a 1, 2, 3. Oh, a very righteous group. But what about your neighbors in let's say, Kansas or Nebraska or No one truth when you get bigger. So let's try again one more time for that warm, fuzzy feeling. If you think that your truth is that if a vagrant comes into your house with a knife, that you have the right to cha-ching with a gun, then you would cha-ching. But if your truth is that when you send your child off to school, that you would expect to have them come off the school bus without being shot, then peace, man, peace. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Cha-ching for gun ownership, peace for gun control. 1, 2, 3. Oh, a peaceful audience in the Pioneer Valley. Very homogeneous here. It's lovely to have one truth. But like I said, in the bigger picture, it's not that way. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do so chaos does not ensue? No, we could make a law for her lordship. We could agree to disagree with laws where you tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in court. So help you. And then we could put the disagreeables in jail. Yes, we could put them in jail. But who would those stinkers be? I know, if you think that you are less likely to go to jail than your neighbor, because you're a good, law-abiding citizen, then stand up right now. Stand up, law-abiding citizens. Stand up. Yay, a law-abiding citizen. Thank you. And the rest of you, what's going on with you? Or you have low self-esteem, or you're rebels, or maybe you're just polite. I have to take a note. Homo sapiens will not stand against their neighbors when their neighbors are sitting right next to them. Interesting. Interesting. Is it time to find what an expert would think about the truth, about laws and the court and personal freedoms. I think maybe it is. Let's find out from a historian. Yes, a historian. Let's do it. A historian.
I am Historodicus, after the Latin nominus, passed down in my family for generations. And it says in this scroll of facts that 0.88% of adult Americans will be incarcerated in their lifetime.
Point 88%, that's almost like 1 in 100. So maybe one of you could be going down to a place where you'll have no personal freedoms and you'll be stuck like a bug on its back.
And we are live. Welcome everybody. Welcome from the screening audience to the Q&A portion of Focus Locus Presents. You just watched Paper String Revolt. And I am now joined by co-directors of Paper String Revolt, Jean Minuchin, who is also the director of World and Eye Center, and Beth Fairservice, director of Musen Theater, who are the two collaborators plus Northampton Open Media on what you just watched. Say hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Liz.
Yes, thank you.
For having us on the show.
Yes, I'm very excited to, we have a lot to talk about, so let's jump in. So let's start at the beginning. What is sort of the vision behind Paper String Revolt for our audience, and where were the beginnings of this project and performance group, the artists behind the project?
You want to start, Jeannie?
Okay. Well, you know, I'm new to the area. I've lived here for about a year and 8 months, and Beth and I met, and we both love visual theater and puppetry and have a strong interest in community and how the arts can be used as a tool for social action. And so it just seemed like a good fit. And we started to look for other people that belonged with that idea. And Beth knew some people. You want to talk about how you gathered other folk?
Yeah. So, yeah, it was really great invitation from Jeannie to think about gathering some folks together to do individual pieces to begin with. So I thought of people, including my partner, Stephen Katz, who's a cellist, and Peter Labruciano, who's relatively new to the community, maybe 5 years that he's lived up here, but he's a really wonderful puppeteer and has worked with Bread and Puppet and done a lot of theater. And my friend Sue Hazar, who's a sculptress who's really interested in doing theater. And we wanted to get an opportunity to explore getting support from each other to work on individual pieces as a beginning of this launching of the idea that puppetry and visual theater and performance art is just this incredible tool for bringing meaning to social issues and environmental issues. And thus, like paper string revolt is that you don't actually need all that much. You just need paper, string, paper mache, paint, and your presence and your body and your intention. And so the paper string revolt, and it's so great that you all got to see the work we did. It was like 8 months, right, Jeannie? We started 8 months of weekly work.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. The paper string revolt, I didn't even think to ask about the title, but what a cool explanation. And so I think that we can sort of expand on the societal and environmental and psychological and cultural issues that are addressed throughout these pieces a little bit later or throughout the program. But next question, since these are all sort of original pieces and we watched the inaugural performance, do you want to give sort of a background on what that performance was like?
It was bumpy, is the word. We were coming up to it and we were all excited and we'd had all these months of preparing, and Omicron was raging and we were like, well, we'll just do it with a reduced audience and maybe we'll do it with a more reduced audience. And then it was like, we can't invite people here to get sick. And so what was it? How many days before the thing that we said no? And we just did it with us, us and a few crew members and the camera people and the lighting people. That was the audience.
Yeah. That was quite a decision to make, and we all sat and we just said, like, okay, let's go around the group and say what feels right. Do we just not have the audience come? But it was great. We had sold out. We had, all of our tickets were sold, and so I'm so grateful to the audience who bought the tickets, who were willing to then come to the Zoom, so we were able to show it. And thanks to Northampton Open Media. And those folks still have a free ticket out there for the next time that Paper String Revolt performs.
And even with such a slim technical working audience, there were still some really fun moments where the audience within the scene interacts, especially with the stink bug, with standing ovations and things like that. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. About how powerful it was looking at the video and realizing that the success of the video was really because of the same group of people that we've been working with every week, that we all just were so committed to each other and have been so present that in the performance, we just like, it was so moving to be the audience for each other. The only one who didn't get to have that so much was Peter, because all of us, the first one, all of us were in his piece. So, but the success of the performance was really because we just all really know and love each other. It was really a cool experience in a lot of ways that way. Yeah.
No, I think that says it. It did feel supported, and then afterwards, because of this video that you guys made, we really shared it with, we had like 80 people that we shared it with as a Zoom virtual experience. So we had an audience in the end.
Yeah.
Great. So let's talk about puppets, which play a very big role. I spent a bunch of time writing down descriptors for all of the puppets throughout. There's some that are humongous. The one of the very first performance that is so sprawling and really frames the whole scene. There's tiny details on all of the beautiful puppets. There's sculptures that become puppets. Yeah. So tell us about puppetry and the process of the creation of these puppets.
I would love to speak for Peter, Jeannie, just because I was really in that piece with him. Mm-hmm. And he came to the PSR and knew that he had this piece, Peter Kagan and the Wind, that he'd always wanted to create a performance piece about, and he just started making it, and every couple of weeks he would come in with this like unbelievably beautiful piece, like the wind, which unfortunately in the video the light doesn't really show this puppet that was the head of the wind. Incredible detail work. And then Peter Kagan would arrive and the paint would come on, and we would get more and more, and the boat coming up, and we get more and more of this amazing stuff week by week. And it became this living world that we got to be in, which is part of what's amazing about puppetry, is that it can create worlds in a way that is really unique, in that you also see the people making the world happen in that moment. So there's a level of magic in that is really intriguing. You want to say more about that, Jeannie? I know, Jeannie. Yeah.
Well, I am a puppeteer, but I didn't really use much puppetry in this piece, so, but what I can say about puppetry is that, there is magic in it. There's whimsy in it. It can be very poignant, so it changes depending on what's happening in the story. But it's because it's kind of real and unreal at the same time. It puts the audience in a kind of dream state. And so that's really a lovely thing about puppetry, which I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I my personal experience with my piece was to make the puppets that were of my town. So I live in Williamsburg, and I've known about this flood that happened in 1874 for many years, and I knew about George Cheney. I knew his name. I had heard about it, but it was really incredible to actually look at pictures of him and then imagine him and make just this piece of cardboard, with paint that became him, and then his horse, and then Colin Graves, who was famous, the milkman who in his cart who drove through town and saved so many people's lives because he was willing to get in front of this flood and ride through the town, and to just make it out of cardboard and then to live into it was really powerful for me. Yeah, I love puppetry for that. Really do.
Wow. Wow, beautifully, yeah. So much to think about from what both of you said. Yeah, so the sort of the next design question, which Jean, you can talk about a bit in lieu of the puppetry question for your specific piece, to talk about other design aspects, costuming, set decoration. There's that amazing hand-controlled rotating screen. Yeah, other design discussion.
You want to talk about the first?
Oh yeah, sure. So yeah, it's called a cranky. And I think that name has been around for a long time. It's like an early picture show. It probably happened before even, cameras were made. And it's the whole project, The Ballad of the Flood, started because Jonathan Stevens, who is a poet and a singer-songwriter and the owner of the Hungry Ghost Bakery, the baker for the Hungry Ghost Bakery, wrote this song, Ballad of the Flood, about it, and said, Bethy, would you be willing to make a cranky of this story? So that's how it started for me. And it's really an incredible process because you get this long piece of whatever paper, or this particular one was vellum, and you just start to see what the story is. And then you lay it all out, and I have to have this long piece in the room. And I actually had Jeannie often on the phone with me, looking at it with me. And I was like, do you think I should put this other thing? Is this going to work? And I was sort of freaking out when I was making it, because it's a very hard thing to depict, the flood and destruction of a town. So those are actually real photographs that I scanned and printed on rice paper and then laid them down and then painted over the whole thing. And it does lend to a whole nother level of magic. You turn the light on and you see it moving. And then that also became a shadow puppet screen. So I took the puppets from the play and then have them moving through it too. And I love that. It's so simple, so simple. Yeah. Thanks for asking about it.
And with the stink bug, the stink bug really started to evolve with the costume, because it's got such a strange shape, and then the strange hair stuff, the antennae things, and it the style of clowning that it is Buffon, and Buffon has a lot of grotesqueness in it, and so it's often these misshaped kind of outcast characters traditionally. And so I started to play with this belly and, patting the butt, and and it just became a fun thing to kind of move around in, and to try to figure out how to be bug-like.
We love stink bug.
I love the wig and the hat. It almost feels sort of like it's like a stink bug dress up doll. Like you can just sort of flop on the next sort of task or job, or yeah. So we touched a little bit on this, but I want to talk about the musical aspects of these performances, the stages, maybe when music came into play for different ones, and the processes of composing, writing lyrics. Yeah.
That was Stephen.
Yeah, I would love to speak for Stephen Katz, my partner, who's been working on this piece called Angels in the Engine Room for bunches of years. And actually, some folks in the Valley may have seen his earlier versions that he's done in performance, and he's been refining it and refining it and refining it. And then he was invited to be in the Bach Cello Festival at the forgetting which part of the hall in Carnegie Hall. There's a one of the spaces at Carnegie Hall that he was invited to perform this in the Bach Cello Festival, and it happened on March 3rd, 10 days before the lockdown of COVID, and he did get to perform it on that stage and to a very full audience, and it was remarkable, but they don't allow you to videotape at Carnegie Hall. So he did all this work to create this performance, which we thought, oh yeah, he'll just do another performance in a month and we'll make sure it gets videotaped. And then everything disappeared. So this was the first time we were able to sort of gather everything together, and we knew we had navigated and negotiated this with Northampton Open Media. Thank you again, to videotape it. And so he got to videotape Angels in the Engine Room as he performed it at Carnegie Hall, except for the If I Only Had a Brain part, which is at the beginning. And I witnessed him in his composition process over time, just bringing in all of these elements from his life. And now he's working on another section that's actually about his parents and how his grandparents were Ukrainian Jews and go back, 600 years of living in the Ukraine. So now this is actually opening up a whole nother level of his relationship to the piece, and he'll be creating that piece and performing a more full length. This one was only 15-20 minutes. He'll be doing a full length piece at some point. So that was lovely to get to talk about that. And Jeannie, do you want to talk about music?
Well, I don't know what else there is to add. I mean, Stephen really, Stephen did his own piece, but he also did the accompaniment for Peter's piece. And, Jonathan did the accompaniment for your piece. I'm not really involved in the musical part of things because I'm not a musician.
Right.
But we did have some great support in music.
Yeah. And it was great with Jonathan's. I felt like doing that really intense piece of theater and then to have his music come in at the end really did it had a really beautiful quality for me of integration. And I love that, how music does that. It can take something that's really hard and just like make it move like music does.
Yeah. And it can change the emotion of something, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So it can be tender, or it can be scary, or it can be anything, just by how you put the notes together.
It's amazing music that I can't imagine. Yeah, music really is so central to what the way that pieces like this or any sort of filmic project end up, like the mark that they leave on people. So it's always very cool to hear the process of.
And one of the things I really love is just the variety of art forms that are in our group. So, there's a lot of cross-pollination between people who are, puppeteers, sculptors, musicians. I think we have some people that dance coming in, so it's storytellers. I love that kind of when it all starts moving together.
Mm-hmm.
I want to give you each a chance to talk just about your individual, about Ballad of the Flood and American Stink Bug. Any more you want to say about the process of the initial crux of the idea? Tell us about each of these.
Well,
go ahead.
I'll talk a little bit about the Stink Bug piece. Clowning, I was starting to explore this type of clown, which is new. I was in training for this Buffon clown, which is a more provocative clown. And I found that I really liked that edgy quality, of just kind of playing the edge where, it's kind of like sweet, you kind of think it's fun, and then there's a, kind of a dig, so that nobody can really quite get comfortable, nobody quite really knows what's going on. So that's a really interesting place to play with an audience. And also I'm playing because I don't know how the audience is going to respond. So I have to be flexible. So it's dynamic. So I love that provocation, the provocative clown, and the clown that looks at things that are uncomfortable and doesn't really care that it's uncomfortable. It's like the clown's just kind of interested in playing. So, doesn't matter if it's, the harshest realities, in our culture, it's fair game. That's the part I love. And my piece also is going to be longer, like Stephen's piece. It's going to elongate into, a full length piece. And I'm starting to work on that, and there'll be some twists and turns and some new characters. I don't want to give too much away because there's some surprises in there.
Yeah.
But there is a version 2. Let me just say that.
Very good. That's a good tip for our audience, that more to come of at least two of these pieces so far that we've. But so let's hear about Ballad of the Flood, please.
Yeah. So Ballad of the Flood is actually going to be, if you want to see it live, it's going to be performed on the anniversary of the May 16th is when it happened. And so we're going to do it probably May 15th, hopefully, because it's a Sunday, and it'll be at Angel Park, which is a little park in the center of Williamsburg. And we're going to have some historians from town talk a little bit about the history of the flood and really try to glean what positive things came from it. So there was lots of legislation that went through about making sure that industrialists didn't make improper dams in the future, because it was a badly built dam. That's the reason why it happened. So for me in my process, which is, as I had said, that Jonathan Stevens invited me to make the Cranky, and then I was joining in with Jeannie, and I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll do more than the Cranky. Maybe I'll really write a play around it and have the Cranky be a part of it. And in the beginning, what was great about the process with Paper String Revolt folks is that I'd come in every week and I would have a different kind of way of working with it. Sometimes I'd just be talking about the history, or I'd be trying to embody it, or I would be the mother, or I was like different parts. And then I started to really sense that I wanted to identify with the child. And I am playing Viola Kohler, who was the first child to die in the flood. And I just tried to feel into what it might have felt like for a little girl to just be having a regular day and having her desires and her dreams, and then to have all of that change within seconds. And to try to feel into how that would land in her being, and also on a spiritual level, like where did she go and how did she perceive herself leaving. It was hard, I'll be honest. I often, as Jeannie knows, I would come in, I'd be like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is so hard to just keep working on figuring out how to portray the death of a little girl in a disaster, especially in the world as it is right now.
Yeah.
And yet it feels really important to keep doing that kind of work, because it's the empathic part of ourselves that keeps us from, that helps us create legislation so that disasters don't happen that didn't have to happen. And these many things don't have to happen if we're empathic enough to understand beforehand that what the cost is going to be just so profound. So it's activating. I've really felt like it's important work for us to activate that empathic part of ourselves, which is what theater has been doing for thousands of years. It's a way of getting people to really feel what the human condition is. And I'm really excited to do it on the anniversary. And then it's also the 250th anniversary of Williamsburg. So I might be performing it again a little later in the summer, and they're going to have an event and parades and stuff. It's a unique town because it was really the first industrial disaster in the world at that point. I think that's correct.
Mm.
So, yeah, really glad to be doing it.
I'd like to say a little bit, jump on what Beth was talking about, having a hard time working on dark material, difficult material, because, you know, as funny and as humorous as the stink bug is, it's about difficult stuff. And, you know, I found that playing with humor or with beauty when you're tackling things that are hard is something that I like to do to kind of balance so that people can hear. You know, there's so much going on that it's like, oh, I can't deal with it. I feel it, you know. And so as an artist, the challenge is to how to bring things forward so that people hear and question and wonder and can tolerate the things that are happening in the world.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, I want to come back to that again, just because I think that, or no, we can sort of, one of the questions I had was what role puppetry and live performance play in addressing the problems of our society and world, and what is a really multi-medium isn't even really the right word for something like this. It's really many mediums. So yeah, I would like to hear more from each of you about the way that the artistic vision for this project fits together with that sort of, would we call it an educating project? Is it a processing project for the audience to what does that vision look like?
That's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, what comes to mind is I do also have done quite a lot of street theater with giant puppets and about climate change mostly. And part of what I've come to sense is that when you are telling a story, it's not divisive in the same way. It's like there's more of an opportunity for multiple perspectives to see and experience the story and still come away feeling like they don't have to choose sides. So there's a way in which I think it's like an open-ended, it's like a sculpture. It's like a living sculpture that somebody can come into and walk around, and they can come from wherever they are coming from. And then they can walk away and have their own experience about it, rather than being like, this is bad. and we don't want it to happen anymore. I mean, there's a point, definitely a purpose in that. We definitely have to be like, no more fossil fuels. We have to be really clear. But a lot of people don't want to get themselves in that position. And they are more, like Jeannie was saying, bringing humor and beauty and character and story into something makes it so that multiple people can have access. Would you concur on that, Jeannie, do you think?
Yeah, and I think Liz asked about whether it's educational, and as a teacher, as a person that facilitates, I think the best facilitation is some things that are open-ended, where people go away and muse about things, dream about things, little snatches of things come to them later, rather than trying to shove an opinion or a didactic piece down anyone's throat, which just does not work and just is, in my opinion, bad theater. So.
Yeah, and I think that that's a goal that's something we're going to keep evolving as the Paper String Revolt, is we're going to keep looking at issues. I don't know if we want to go into what we're doing next yet, but I'll let you ask the questions.
I want to ask one more thing before we get to that, which is about where Western Massachusetts and being local artists sort of fits into these projects.
Yeah.
Well, I'm newly local. I moved from Florida during the pandemic, and thank goodness I found, Beth and the group, because it's hard to move during a pandemic and want to get going and you're kind of stopped. But I moved to this area because of two things. One is I felt like it would be creatively an open kind of a place where there's lots of creativity going on. And, I had visited and I felt like, yes, this is a creatively rich area. So that was the first thing. And the other thing is that coming from Florida, I just felt like I did not quite, I was the round peg in the square hole, and it just was not fitting with who I am. In terms of the politics, which I tried very hard in my piece not to state my politics, because I didn't want to do that. The point is not to state my politics. But when it was where to move, I wanted to be in Western Mass. So those were my reasons for being here and for wanting to create here.
Yeah.
Beth, do you want to talk a little bit about the role that Western Mass plays in your part of this?
Yeah, I mean, I moved up here 20 years ago, 22 years ago now, actually, and to Earth Dance in the Earth Dance community, and met lots of people who are all still here. And so that was an amazing experience to just discover that I was coming into a creative community and we were all going to like raise children together and grow old together, and that's still happening. And I've been really loving this combination in Western Mass of having a college community and the sort of best of the best all sort of coming in. Like there's incredible Buddhist communities, and there's incredible dance communities, and there's farming communities, and there's social justice communities and activism. And so this piece that I'm excited about with Jeannie is that We have puppet theater up at Sandglass in Brattleboro is a really fabulous puppet theater place. We have we know about Bread and Puppet up north, and we just wanted to bring something that was sort of in that vein of visual theater, more visual theater, to the area, because there's just such a ripe opportunity to keep living into it, making it more and more a part of who we are as a community. And there are amazing artists here, so it wasn't hard to just say. Jeannie is like, well, do you know anybody? And I was like, I totally know people. All I have to do is make some phone calls. Yeah. And that's happening now. We just made a couple more phone calls and we have more people coming in, and they're going to be involved in creating, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, let's we're just about wrapping up, so I'd like to talk about what's on the horizon for Paper String Revolt, and these projects, new projects. What should people know about?
Well, like Beth said, we have 3 new people. So we are starting a process now of starting to work together on a group piece, which is a new part of our adventure, and developing work for an Interdependence Day pageant. I'm going to let Beth talk about this because this is a part of her history here.
Great. Yeah, so it hasn't happened in a few years, but we would produce an Interdependence Day event, usually around the early part of July, that was connected to Climate Action Now and the activist community. And now we're taking it into creating a theater piece with Paper String Revolt that we're planning for July 30th. And it's currently feeling like the theme is going to be about food security. It's going to be about food and plants and Mother Earth and local food, and that all we're not quite sure, because we're coming together and we're going to start improvising and exploring themes, and then we're going to make a piece, and we have there'll definitely be giant puppets involved. There'll be a pageantry part of it, and we're going to move from one space to the next somewhere in Northampton, Florence area. And then we'll perform a piece that has something to do with a garden. And we hope that we can actually leave a garden. So the vision is that we are going to create these boxes that will have real living plants in them. And then when we are done with our performance, that garden will stay. So that's kind of where we are right now. And it would be for whomever wants to come and eat something from the garden. And I'm super excited because we have Dan Kinsey coming in, and we have Sky Holm, and we have Amy Dawn Cotel, and then Peter Labrusciano, and Jeannie and I, and Sue Hazar, and Stephen. And we're all going to be bringing who we are to this next piece. And then the vision that Jeannie and I had was that then on the other side of the year, like in the winter time or early spring, then we do another individuals performance, sort of a festival where each person is then showing their individual pieces. And then we go back into the spring and we make a group piece again for the summer. And we're hoping we're going to get a rhythm going. And we're definitely looking for people, like for the pageant and things like that. We'll have plenty of puppets and things for people to carry so that the community can be involved, which has been sort of a thing that I've loved doing, is getting everybody, as many people, in the piece as possible. So certainly reach out if you want to be in this piece with us on the day of, and we will hand you something magical to carry or help you to create something magical to carry. And we're going to do some workshops, right, Jeannie? We're going to do some workshops at my yurt out in Williamsburg. So you can look at our websites and we'll have those dates set up pretty soon. People can come and make some puppets with us and make some banners and things like that. Yeah. Anything else, Jeannie, you can think of?
Well, I think we should just say where people can look things up. So one of the places is World and I. So World, and then it's AND, and then I like in your head, EYE. Yes. World and I, www.worldandi.com. We'll have information. And Beth, what about Muzen?
Yeah, you can go to muzen, muzen.org, and we'll have information up in the next bunches of weeks for that. And you can also go to my website, which is beth@bethfairservice.com. And I also will have the information there. Yeah, and it's going to be exciting. It's so fun. Thank you so much for inviting us to do this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you both so much. What an amazing screening, what an amazing set of things to look forward to, what amazing descriptions and answers, and what a great show. So let's say goodnight to our audience. Thank you all so much for tuning in.
Good night, audience.
Thank you.
Good night to Beth and Jean.
Bye.
And this was Focus Locus Presents Paper String Revolt. Good night, everybody.
Bye, folks.